They want you to keep thinking that you're failing due to a lack of willpower, that you just didn't stick to the diet for long enough, and that you should sign up again and go through the motions time and time again. But we know that people are doing this up to 5 times every year. They're often signing up to the same program, same diets, and getting the same result. That is weight loss followed by weight regain.
Welcome to the Run Lift Mom podcast, where we're talking about running, lifting, and momming, not necessarily in that order. You're going to love today's interview with Dr. Nick Fuller. Dr. Fuller is a program leader at the University of Sydney and works in a research setting to create long-term, cost-effective treatments for obesity. And guess what, folks? He did. The interval weight loss program has been shown clinically to be the most superior long-term weight loss strategy. And you know I'm all over that, but through a mother runner lens. We're going to start by addressing misconceptions with traditional weight loss diets. And I need you to hear him when he says this is not a willpower thing. It is your biology. Then we're going to get into some tactical tips from the interval program that you can use, my friend. I want to make mention that Dr. Fuller uses the words evidence-based several times in this show. And as a listener, you need to know upfront that that means it's rooted in science and it's been proven again and again in a clinical research setting. This is a good thing, friend, and it means you can take Dr. Fuller's advice to the bank. So without further ado, Dr. Nick Fuller. All right. Welcome, Dr. Nick Fuller, to the Run Lift Mom podcast. You're ending your day. I'm beginning my day. I am so glad that we're connecting. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, Suzy. It's wonderful to be on your show, and I'm very grateful for being a guest. So thanks for having me on.
We are going to get tactical in this episode and talk about some of the components of your interval weight loss program. I want to set the stage here first, though, for my fitness-minded mom that is listening. Can you talk to me, Nick, about why you caution against quick wins on the weight loss side of things? Like, why shouldn't we get a quick, fast win when we're trying to lose weight?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess firstly, to put this into context for your listeners, remember, so it's interval weight loss. It's got nothing to do with intermittent fasting. We're going to get into that nitty-gritty detail, but that's just to clear it up for everyone to start with. I work at the University of Sydney Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Sydney, Australia. It's a wonderful state-of-the-art facility. I'm very lucky. And we actually run Australia's largest weight management facility hospital. We see thousands of patients every month, and basically we're helping people on their weight loss journey. To answer your question, the reason why we don't want people dieting is because science and research has shown that actually accelerates your weight problem. And it's actually one of the 2 biggest things contributors as to why the obesity epidemic is going up. If you look at the problem on our hands, it sort of became evident around the 1970s. The environment changed. We start seeing fast food on every corner of every block. We start using motor vehicles to get everywhere from A to B. We're addicted to these devices which keep us awake all night. Now that has obviously contributed to an increase in our weight, but then what do? We react by dieting. We sign up to the latest and greatest diet. We sign up to the keto, the intermittent fast. That's the current fads. We get the short-term win. There's no questioning that. We see that as clinicians in our hospital clinics, but when we follow these patients up down the track, it might be a few months, but definitely within a few years, these people have put the weight back on. They've not only put the weight back on, but they've put on a little bit extra. And it's our body going into shutdown mode in order to eliminate that stress, which is weight loss caused through dieting, to go back to what is our starting point or our set weight. So basically, the minute you start a diet or a weight loss program, it's often packages these 4, 8, 12-week programs you see online. You are doomed for failure. Your body's going to fight that weight loss, and you're going to see yourself go back to your start point plus a little bit extra.
I need people to hear that part, because oftentimes we will say, "Oh, I'm just going to do this reset, right?" Or I'm just going to get where I need to be. And so what I hear you saying is when it comes to weight loss or weight management, we need to be thinking in terms of marathon, not sprint.
Exactly. This is all about working with our body, not against it. Look, if dieting worked, we wouldn't see the problem we see today. The obesity epidemic is only getting worse and worse and worse. The problem is now more prevalent. Roughly 2 in 3 people have a little bit of extra weight around their waistline, and they're often moving from the overweight to the obesity range. Some people don't even have a weight problem to start with. They develop this, unhealthy portrayal of what a perceived healthy body image is through social media, and they end up dieting themselves fatter and fatter. So what really happens is when you start to lose weight, your body goes into shutdown mode, okay? This fight or flight response comes into play. And this is what the general public don't understand, because this is what the dieting industry don't want you to know. They want you to keep thinking that you're failing due to a lack of willpower, that you just didn't stick to the diet for long enough, and that you should sign up again and go through the motions time and time again. But we know that people are doing this up to 5 times every year. They're often signing up to the same programs, same diets, and getting the same result. That is weight loss followed by weight regain. And there's a fascinating study that looks at 4,000 twins. It shows what they did was they followed them up over 25 years, and it showed that the twin that had been dieting was always heavier than the twin that hadn't. So dieting is only accelerating your weight problem. And whether it's your own lived experience or a family member, a friend, or a colleague, you'll know that people are talking about those short-term wins on the latest and greatest diets, these diets we've been doing for the last 4 decades, but we end up putting that weight back and we end up regaining it. And that comes down to our biology. So your body will go down into shutdown mode, as I mentioned. Your metabolism is going to lower, so you burn less calories at rest. Your appetite hormone signaling system is going to change, which means your appetite hormones start telling you to eat more. Your thyroid function, which is the gatekeeper to your metabolism, is suppressed. So all of these things are working against you to make sure you basically slow down, your engine stops running as efficiently, you burn less calories. What does that mean? You end up just putting that weight back on. So you're up against your body, and this is why diets don't work.
Do you hear, Dr. Fuller, listener? It is your biology, not your lack of willpower. I mean, dieting can do a lot of damage for us in between the ears. So I mean, like emotionally, mentally. But what I hear you saying too is like, now your body is not working for you. It's working against you when you get into this cycle.
This is a really good point you make, Suzy. So it's not just mental fatigue that we get through weight cycling and dieting and signing up to these programs over and over and over again, but there's also the physical repercussions. So you are doing damage to your body's physiology. So every time you go and diet, every time you go and sign up to a weight loss program, your body's shutting down. So you're actually disrupting the normal equilibrium, which means your metabolism will become sluggish. Your thyroid function won't be working as efficiently. And when people say, I've got a sluggish metabolism, I can't seem to shift the weight, well, that's true, because as you go through diet after diet after diet, your body just becomes better and better and better at shutting down. And as mentioned, not only do you stack the weight back on that you lost from the diet, but your body learns to put on a little bit of extra fat because it knows that another bout of starvation or another diet is coming in the near future. So it gets better and better at shutting down, eliminating the stress, putting on extra fat so that it can survive. And this is something left over from our time as hunter-gatherers. We have our ancestors to thank, really, and that is that our body will shut down in order to survive and procreate. Remember, we used to go very long periods of time without food, and when food was available, we would then gorge and store all of that extra energy. But now in the modern day environment, food's on every corner of every block. We have a hard time saying no. Waistline goes up. What do? We then react by dieting. But the body's response is to say, hang on, I've got to get rid of this stress. I've got to go back to my start point because that's the weight that I need to stay at in order to survive and procreate. And that keeps us at that steady set point that we remember being at for a long period of time.
Now, what you're discussing, Dr. Fuller, these are components of your interval weight loss program. And again, you guys, this is not some Instagram program that Dr. Fuller promotes, okay? I need you to hear that he is in a university setting. He's doing this research. He's got his hands messy in the research. Can you talk to me, Dr. Fuller, about some of the behavioral strategies that you use to work with folks that are trying to control their weight?
Yes, so behavioral is a huge part of it. And this interval weight loss program, which is our evidence-based solution for overcoming the body's usual response to weight loss, well, that tackles all of these things that we're talking about, that addiction to food, the addiction to devices that keep us awake all night and affect our sleep health. So it's basically bundled up into 6 key principles, 6 steps that help you address not just food, what you should be eating throughout the day, how to overcome the food addiction and addiction to fast and processed food, but also how to improve your sleep health and how to incorporate activity and exercise that's sustainable. And remember, what we're addressing is our evolutionary desire or our biological imperative to regain the weight. So remember, you sign up to the diet, your body fights the weight loss, you go back to your start point. So interval weight loss is overcoming that response. So what we've shown is that when we test this within our patients and we get them to lose weight in 4-week cycles, so about 2 kilos of weight loss followed by a maintenance period, followed by 2 kilos of weight loss, followed by a maintenance period. So it looks like a step down pyramid approach. That is how you do prevent your body kicking into gear and going into that fight or flight response. So you don't get the lowering of metabolism and the increase in appetite hormones telling you to eat more. So that's the evolutionary component to the program. So it's on, off, on, off, on, off. And then in terms of the behavioral strategies, what you should be eating, how you incorporate exercise and activity that's sustainable, improves sleep health, well, that's broken down into those 6 steps. And look, some people need bigger help with some components, like the food addiction, and then other people really need to work on the sleep health. So it does tackle this holistic approach to a person's lifestyle so you can regain control of your weight and your health. But most importantly, remember, as I keep reinforcing, is that the reason why it works is because we're preventing our biology coming into play. And this is the reason why all of these diets on the market don't prevent weight regain, despite what they're marketing to you. So, we're lucky we have human participants, patients coming into our clinics all the time. We trial and test on them. They're basically acting as human guinea pigs, but getting state-of-the-art care so we can see what's happening within their body when they're losing weight. So we're doing all we can to switch off the usual response to weight loss so they can lose weight and then keep it off.
So to clarify for my American listeners that maybe don't use kettlebells, right? Because those are the only folks that I know who can do that quick math on kilos. Dr. Fuller is talking about 4.5 pounds. 4 pounds. For that healthy cycle. Can we dig in for a minute, Dr. Fuller? I've heard you mention sleep and blue light a number of times during this conversation that, right, we're talking about our biology. And I've heard you say sleep, sleep, sleep. Do you mind if we dig into that component for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. So remember, we've got all of these different components that make up that healthy lifestyle, the food addiction, what you should be eating, what food should be going on your plate, how to orientate your portion control throughout the day. But yes, like you said, sleep health. So one of the things that's affecting our lifestyle is definitely technology and devices. They emit blue light, and we are addicted to these devices. So when you go home of a day, or if you're home with the kids and then you're unwinding by turning on the television, looking at your phone, all that's doing is keeping you awake. Okay, it's basically suppressing melatonin production, and that basically tells your brain that it's daytime instead of nighttime. So that's not a good thing because it makes it hard to fall asleep, but then it makes it hard to stay asleep. That means you have a flow-on effect the next day. You're going to be sleep deprived and you're going to make poorer lifestyle choices. You're going to think that going to the local corner shop or the vending machine is the easier and healthier option, and you end up defaulting towards poorer food choices. You don't exercise because you're fatigued, and you keep going through that cycle. So it's all about switching off these devices for an hour before bed every night. And we say no blue light after twilight. Get the TVs, the phones outside the bedroom, and disrupt your evening routine. Do something different. So help the kids with the homework, read a book, practice a new hobby, learn a new hobby, anything that keeps you away from these screens. And yes, it's one of these key principles on the interval weight loss plan. And as you mentioned, it's referred to as no blue light after twilight.
That's a great way to remember it. And we are not putting ourselves in the position to win for these movement decisions or the fueling decisions if we are sleep deprived. Friend, I want to encourage you to think about what might make the no blue light after twilight rule easy. Like for some of you, it's going to be to get like a normal old school battery operated alarm clock and just keep your phone out of the bedroom. That is a really easy behavioral switch. For some of us, if we have access, we're going to look at that device. So think about what your day looks like and how you can limit that blue light. I have to also ask, the other one that really stuck out to me was use chopsticks. And I know this has to do with portion control. Do you mind if we unpack that one as well, Dr. Fuller?
Yeah, this all comes down to portion control. If you think about these cute, neatly packaged weight loss programs that we see online, the 4, 8, 12 weeks, they're usually a prescription for that period of time because the diet industry know that you can stick to it for that period of time. You lose the weight, you succeed, you celebrate, you go out with family, friends, colleagues, celebrate the weight loss, but then you start to incorporate, we'll see those old habits creep back in. Now, what they typically do is prescribe a caloric restriction, tell you how many calories to eat, how many grams of food to weigh out. And these plans are not sustainable and not achievable long term. Plus, our body's far smarter than that. Remember, when you do cut the calories and increase the energy output, your body's going to go into shutdown mode. And that happens after just a couple of kilos of weight loss or about 4 pounds of weight loss. So what this, use chopsticks principle is referring to is that there's no calorie counting because it is far simpler than that. We've shown through our science and our research studies that all you need to do is actually eat from big to small throughout the day. Breakfast should be your biggest meal, lunch your next biggest meal, dinner your smallest meal, and to slow down your meal consumption, sit at the dinner table. If you're by yourself, reflect on your day in a journal. If you're with family, share your day with them, but use something you're uncomfortable with. So it could be the chopsticks because that's going to slow down your food habits, or it could be an oyster fork or a teaspoon, anything so you're putting less food in your mouth and you're putting it in slower than you otherwise would be eating it. So it's about eating from big to small, sitting at the dinner table for the evening meal and using some utensils like chopsticks, oyster fork or teaspoon to slow down your eating habits. Now, you might be wondering why the big to small, because we have shown through research that your body actually burns the calories 2.5 times more efficiently in the morning compared to the evening time. That doesn't matter about the time of the day, but I'm saying that if you sit down to 2 identical meals, same person, that person's body will burn the calories from that meal 2.5 times more efficiently in the morning. So we want to bulk up the start of the day and taper off towards the end of the day. So it looks about 3/5 of food at breakfast, 2 at lunch, 1 at dinner, and it's unlimited salad and vegetables because these foods are nutritious and they're certainly the ones that we should be including more of on the plate.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So one, slow down. If you don't have chopsticks or an oyster fork, sometimes non-dominant hand will be a really good just swap that can slow you down. And that is so fascinating about the same meal, same person, different times a day. May I ask you, for our runners out there, Dr. Fuller, like if we have that smaller meal at dinner, should we worry at all about maybe a tough workout or a long effort the next morning? Will we have enough fuel in our tank?
We will, as long as you include plenty of food throughout the day. Remember, what we typically do in the Western countries is start our food intake around lunchtime. We don't tend to start ramping up that food intake until lunch, and dinner is our biggest meal of the day. Now, what we want to be doing is completely changing that around. Remember, breakfast needs to become the biggest meal. So as long as you're including plenty of nutrition throughout the day, you won't need as much food at the end of the day, and you're still going to be able to train hard and at the intensity you want to the following morning. But as long as you're not depriving yourself. Interval weight loss is not about deprivation. Remember, we're not calorie counting. We're not weighing out grams of food. Weight loss is a science, but weight loss is far easier than what the dieting industry make it out to be. You don't need to follow these calorie control plans, because remember, when you do, your body's only going to go into shutdown mode anyway. Now, obviously, when we're switching to a diet or a dietary plan that's based on more unprocessed food, so fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grain carbohydrates, lean protein sources, you do see an incidental decrease in your calories anyway. So when you shift from a processed fast food diet to an unprocessed nature's treats, you do see that calorie deficit anyway of about 500 calories per day, which will see you lose that small amount that you're looking for during the weight loss months. But remember, it's only about 4 pounds, which is about 1 pound every week to get the 4 pounds over the course of the month. And then you need to switch off, take the foot off the accelerator, which will mean also if you're training, you've got to take the train load down or switch off the intensity in terms of the training. That can be good as well in terms of preventing injury setbacks, but it's also going to help you with your long-term weight loss goals. So it's about losing, maintaining your weight, and losing again, then maintaining that step down. Keep visualizing that. And when you're training, think of it as training hard for a block, easing off, allowing your body to recover, maintain that training load, but switch off the intensity and potentially some of the volume. Then you go and ramp it up again to help you lose that next couple of kilos, 4 pounds, and go on, maintain again, lose, maintain, lose, maintain.
Dr. Fuller is speaking directly to the hearts of those who have trained for marathons. We've done this before, and friends, it's a great approach to losing weight, maintaining that healthy weight, all about working with our body instead of against it. Dr. Fuller, tell folks where they can find you online.
Okay, you can find information about interval weight loss at intervalweightloss.com. I've written 3 books on this topic. Now, these books just go into the science about obesity, the science of weight loss. Remember, it is a complex beast we're up against. Our body's wired to protect itself against this weight loss. It'll always rebound back to the start point. So in my latest book, Interval Weight Loss for Women, and despite the title, it's also suitable for men. It does tackle not only these biological protections that kick into gear when we lose weight, but it also explains these 6 steps of the interval weight loss plan in great detail. So you can read that book or read one of the interval weight loss books to equip yourself with evidence-based information. Okay, and this often means you need to unlearn a lot of the information that you've picked up over many years or decades of dieting. And it also means you often have to read the information more than once so that you can ingrain this evidence-based care. You can also get plenty of information free online. There's educational videos on the Interval Weight Loss YouTube channel, but also on the intervalweightloss.com website. There is, for those that are really keen, the mobile web app online program for your own personalized dashboard to keep accountable to the IWL program and to form or to be part of the IWL community. So there's so many different ways you can digest this information. But I guess to start with, if you're a reader, I do encourage you to read and just to instill this education, because for so long, we've just been led to believe that we keep failing due to a lack of willpower. But remember, we're failing due to our biology. You're up against your biology, but we've now shown through research you can switch off your biology and the usual response to weight loss through this interval weight loss approach. And that's by losing weight in 4-week cycles. Nothing to do with intermittent fasting. It's about, remember, 4 pounds of weight loss followed by maintaining the weight followed by 4 pounds of weight loss, followed by maintaining that weight, and just keep visualizing that step down approach.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fuller. The work you're doing is so important. I know the listeners are going to be blessed by it. Friends, we're going to put all of those details in the show notes. So click details or swipe up.
Thank you, Suzy. It's been great to be on your show, as I said, and you keep up the great work yourself. And you've definitely got a new listener in myself. And for those that are listening, remember, it's not all doom and gloom. You can regain control of your health and weight. If you are training for a big running event, you've got to think about these long-term goals. So even you can still achieve those running goals, but you still need to be following what the weight loss science is now showing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fuller.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Infinilean. Infinilean is an elastic belt for your beltless bottoms. Whether you're on a weight loss journey, you are a new mama trying to extend those maternity clothes, or you just feel more powerful and confident when your pants stay up, you can check out InfinileanBelts.com to learn more. Thank you so much for listening to the Run Lift Mom podcast. I want to let you know that you can swipe up in the podcast player that you're in to see the show notes. That's going to take you to my website and you're going to get a deep dive on today's show. Cool, huh? You can think of it as a blog post that complements what was covered today with all of the links and resources discussed. Don't forget to check out the podcast partners as well with some really great offers for you. And until I get into your earpiece again, remember, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. That's from 1 Timothy 4:8, and this has been the Run Lift Mom podcast. It's time for the Alouette product of the week, and this week it is the City Detox Environmental Defense Powder Cleanser. Yeah, you heard me right. This is a powder cleanser. So you guys, you're just going to sprinkle this into your hand. You can mix it with water. The amount of water you use is going to depend on the consistency that you want. You can also mix it in with a foam or a gel-based cleanser. What's going to happen here is it's going to cleanse away pollutants, makeup, and skin impurities. It's an enzyme cleanser and it is detoxifying. It's fantastic. If you wash your face in the morning and the evening, if you can only pick one, I recommend the evening for your City Detox. It's great to travel with because, it's powder. So throw it in your purse, your mommy backpack, or your gym bag. That is the City Detox Environmental Defense Powder Cleanser.